Hello, Naomi. It's lovely to meet you.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Very good. Can you see my page okay?
Yes, I can see it perfectly.
Brilliant.
Just zoom mine in a bit.
You're one step ahead of me. You've got your outline done already.
Yeah, I thought I'd just quickly get it down because it's so hard to see it and with the phone in the way.
Yeah, I've gone a bit rogue. I like drawing on grey paper,
hmm
so I don't know if any of your artists have done that yet, but I always find white a bit
Do
intimidating.
you? That's funny because I've been practicing with dark grey paper, but I decided to go back to my comfort zone today.
Okay, fair
Yeah.
enough.
But I find grey paper scary. It's like, oh my gosh, how do I even know what colors to pick? So, for those of you who don't know you, would you like to talk a bit about yourself, who you are, and what you do?
Yeah, sure. So I started off my art career doing pet portraits. I love dogs in particular, but just generally all animals, really. Um, and then the last few years, I've been doing a lot of wildlife art as well.
hmm
Um, so yeah, kind of most of my drawings are pastels. Um, and then I've sort of recently started experimenting with sort of doing some mixed media pieces. So
hmm
combining pastels with paint as well, which is always quite fun.
Oh wow, that sounds interesting. How does
Yeah.
that work?
Well, pastel mat. So this is the surface I'm working on at the moment.
hmm
Um, and pastel mat can take both dry and wet mediums, so you can actually paint on it. Um,
Oh.
so I started off kind of trying to use gouache, which actually works quite well because gouache is almost like um, kind of a liquid form of pastel in a way. It's still got that gritty texture to it. So you
hmm
can then go over it with pastel and combine the two quite nicely. So if you're doing like an underpainting, gouache works quite well. Um, and then I've also been experimenting with using ink tints. I don't know
Oh,
if you've used that at
okay.
all.
No, I
Yeah.
haven't.
So that's made by Derwent, and it's like a relatively new medium in the grand scheme of things.
hmm
Um, and it sort of behaves kind of like ink, but it's got some similarities with watercolors and also pastels as well, because it kind of comes in a few different forms, but I use the stick
Oh,
forms, which look a
okay.
bit like pastels. Yeah,
Yeah, that's very interesting.
yeah.
I
So
like
you
that
can
you
get,
mix your mediums because I haven't met many artists that do actually. It's because I like to mix pan pastels with color pencils, and I know that a lot of color
oh,
pencil
okay.
artists like to be quite purists with color pencils. So it's
Yeah,
it's nice to know what you've been experimenting with.
yeah. I mean, some of them work, some of them don't, but it's all a
Mm,
journey, isn't it, at the end of the day?
yes,
And it's all about
definitely.
having fun, so yeah.
Mm. No, I like that. That's very interesting about the paint and the pastel because I'm thinking of I want to do like huge pieces and color
Yeah,
pencil's such a slow medium for big
yeah.
pieces. But it's funny how you said about paint and pastel. So could you use pastel over the top of the paint when the paint's dry, or do you use the paint on top of the pastel?
So I use pastel on top of the paint.
hmm
I don't know if it'll work the other way around, to be honest, but
Mm.
worth a try.
Yeah.
How you discover these things, I
Yeah,
suppose.
yeah. Exactly, just try it out. No, I like
Yeah,
that. It sounds very interesting. And
yeah,
you've just recently won an award, haven't you? I saw on your profile picture. What was
yeah,
that
yeah. It was
for?
so it's from the Association of Animal Artists, and
hmm
it's called the inaugural Chairperson's Award, and it's something that they give out each year to an artist in recognition of their contribution to wildlife art and also conservation.
Oh,
Um,
that's wonderful.
yeah, so I was really chuffed to be awarded that. It was really
Yeah,
exciting.
fantastic. That's really good. Do you do many like competitions and exhibitions and things like that?
I've done a few competitions. So I've been in the Wildlife Artist of the Year a couple of times.
hmm
So I was in that this year and back in 2022. So this year I had my artwork exhibited at the Mole Galleries in London.
Oh,
So that was really
fantastic.
exciting. Yeah, that was really quite an event. And
Mm.
yeah, so I got to go up to London and meet all the other competitors as well, or yeah, I suppose kind of think of all ourselves as just artists rather than competitors because it's all raising
Yep.
money for conservation as well.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's a really great event that I can't remember how much they raised this year. It was tens of thousands of pounds, somewhere in like
Oh
£90,000 worth,
wow,
something like
that's
that. Yeah,
amazing.
and it all goes towards protecting endangered species across Asia and Africa. So
Fantastic.
it's a great event to be part of.
Mm. Well, that's
Yeah.
really wonderful. Yeah.
So you're also a member of the Association of Animal Artists, aren't you?
I
Is that
am,
right?
yes, yes.
Yeah.
I just joined this
Oh,
year.
oh cool.
Um, yeah, I'm enjoying it. I haven't been able to be as active as I'd like, just because I've been so busy with my own stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm slowly becoming more active, an active member. I'm on the committee, and I'm trying to do what I can
Yeah.
in between things. But yeah, I think it's such a lovely opportunity to be part of the Animal Association.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, of artists because there's just so many opportunities, isn't there, going through a society or something like that.
Yeah, and I think as an artist as well, it can sometimes feel a little bit isolating when you're sort of working from home quite a lot of the time, and so it's nice to be part of a community where you can meet other like-minded artists.
Exactly, yeah. That's exactly why I even started these lives because it's just so nice to be able to really chat to artists about what they're doing and how they're doing it and why they're doing it and
Yeah.
you wouldn't normally get to do this kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially draw alongside some really good artists, so I'm enjoying that aspect of it too.
Yeah, it's such a great idea. I've never done anything like this before, so
Oh,
yeah.
wonderful. So
Yeah.
tell me a bit about your process then. How do you normally like to start?
Normally on a bigger piece, I would just start with the background,
Yep.
um, usually like top left, and then work my way down to bottom right.
Okay.
Um,
Is that so
but
it
on a
doesn't
piece like
smudge
this, it's
everywhere?
yeah,
hmm
basically because I'm right-handed.
hmm
Um, but on a piece like this, it's so small, so you can kind of just probably just going to end up working on
Yeah.
all of it all at once, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So do you mainly work just for smudging reasons, then that's why you work in that specific order?
Yeah, pretty much.
hmm
Yeah, just it all gets a bit messy otherwise. When I first
hmm
started out with pastels, I transitioned from working with colour pencils where you don't really have that problem.
hmm
Um, and so I sort of was trying to just work on everything all at once, and I was just getting in such a mess.
hmm
So yeah, so I had to find a slightly different way of working.
Did you find it like a bit of a big transition? Because there are certain things you can do with pastels that you can't do with colour pencils.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I
you
think
find that
sorry, go on.
no, so I'll just yeah, so did you like that transition or how did you find that?
I think I found pastels a little bit easier
hmm
personally. Um, I found it quite hard with colour pencils to remember to maintain the whites, the
hmm
highlights. Um, and yeah, obviously with pastels, you don't really have that problem. You sort of work from dark to light, in fact.
Yes, it's a bit like oil painting, I think.
Yeah, and I think that's because when I was a kid growing up, I was quite into oil painting. That sounds like a
hmm
weird kid growing up, oil painting.
Yeah.
But no, I came from quite an artistic family. My dad was an artist growing up, and my grandparents gave me an oil set one Christmas. I was probably about 8 or 9, maybe, and I actually
hmm
still have the same set.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, and I still use some of the paints because they stay good for years and years and years.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
so yeah, that's always quite nice. I always think of them when I'm painting with them.
hmm
Um, so I suppose I sort of learned that process from quite a young age.
hmm
So I suppose um, that still sort of made a bit more sense to me, just the way you
Yes.
work with them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. Because I actually found the same because I used to do a lot of foil painting as well when I was doing like my GCSEs and things.
yeah,
Um, and then I got into color pencil just because I was living in a studio and I didn't really have enough space for all the paint and the liquids and
yeah,
the various things you need with oil paint. And I was just a bit lazy. I just didn't want to wash my brushes.
yeah. It takes so long,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
It takes so, especially oil paint, because you need all
Yeah,
like the actual like paint cleaner stuff as well, was it just never comes off.
Yep.
Yeah, so I
You
just
always
saw
end up
like,
with it all over your hands as well.
yeah, it gets everywhere. Um, yeah, and then I saw some artists using color pencil and like creating like really beautiful, realistic pieces with it. So I thought, oh, maybe I'll try that. And that's sort of how I got going with color pencil really. But I'm now sort of I'm mixing in pan pastels with color pencil. I'm not really sure about actual pastel pencils yet. I haven't tried it.
Okay.
Um, but I'm experimenting and seeing how it goes, I guess, because I do feel like every time I use a different medium, my style is different, or like my techniques are like really different. So it's sort of like figuring out what suits you best and what you're most comfortable with.
Yeah, I think it's I was listening to something the other day actually, um, a podcast about it was some artists discussing whether it's a good idea as a professional artist that's kind of established
Mm-hmm.
to be switching mediums.
Mm-hmm.
And they were basically discussing, obviously, as you kind of want to be recognizable, don't you? And you spend a lot of time building up a style that's recognizable. And
Mm-hmm.
they sort of seem to be of the opinion that switching switching mediums ends up making your artwork look a lot more different than if you just did different subjects in the same medium.
Right, okay.
So I thought it was quite interesting.
Yeah, I think the
I have one of
opposite.
those. Yeah, I have one of those brains where I get bored quite easily. I think
Mm.
probably most creatives do, and you want to try everything, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Exactly, yeah.
So it's quite hard sometimes to like rein yourself in and put
Mm.
your professional hat on and go, okay, I need to focus on this. And
Yeah.
anything else should probably be as like a hobby.
Well, that's the thing. I think when artists hear the word niche, that and putting yourself into a box, you're really just putting yourself into a box in the eyes of your specific customer. You're not
Hmm.
necessarily putting your entire art career in a
No.
box. It's just to make it easier for your target customer to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So you could have several different target customers. You could have specifically landscape customers or pet portrait customers, and then another one like tiger customers. It could be anything, and you can still do
Yeah.
all those varieties. It'll be harder to do more than one, but the idea is that you're just specifically targeting one type of person
Yeah.
for that specific type of art. So I think some artists do get a bit scared with the word niche because they think that they're not allowed to do any other art,
Yeah.
but that's not really what that means.
Yeah. No, no, you're right.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I do seascapes as well, but
Hmm.
they are actually in different medium there, but they're in oils.
Hmm.
So I think they style wise is actually very similar to my pastel work.
Hmm.
Because it's all like highly realistic and it does fit in quite well. And actually I've had quite a lot of clients sort of that are pet portrait artists
Hmm.
also buy
Hmm.
seascapes or similarly like wildlife artists that'll also buy pet portraits. So there is quite a lot of
Hmm.
crossover.
Yeah, there will be a crossover, won't they? Because I guess they like you as an artist as well.
Yeah,
So it's not necessarily because of what you're doing. It's more
yeah,
that it's you're the one that's doing it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that's very interesting. Yeah.
Do you do a few different styles of art, like type sort of subjects?
Well, I've been using these books because normally I just do commission after commission, and I don't feel like I have. Before, I didn't feel like I had enough time to experiment with like, wildlife or anything like that because I felt like I had to get a commission done if I was going to spend my time doing something. And now having a child, I have even less time than I did before.
Yeah,
So that's sort of why I created these books because now I can just try out anything. So like if I wanted to try out a rabbit or, a fox or a lion, I can because it doesn't take me too long. It's just like a little, an hour
yeah,
set aside that I can just do a little thing and be like, oh, okay, now I have got the experience of doing zebra stripes. I don't have to like sort of think about that I've never done that before. Do you know what I mean?
yeah. No, that's a good idea.
Yeah. So that's sort of why I created these books really. I created it for myself
Yeah,
because I wanted to be able to practice different things on small scales. And then other artists wanted to do the same, which is why I'm now selling them. but I really created it for myself because it's something I felt like I really needed to develop as an artist myself. So,
Yeah, well, that's a good point.
mm,
What we were saying about trying out different
mm,
things. I think as an artist, you kind of need to try out different things in order to develop. Otherwise, you just get stagnant and don't really learn anything new.
yes,
So
yeah,
even if what you're presenting to the public or sort of your business side of it sort of stays in a sort of consistent vein,
mm,
um, what you do is kind of outside of that massively feeds into the uh, the art that you produce as a professional artist, I think.
definitely. Yeah, I think so too. Because I did feel like, because I've been doing commissions for 8 years now, and I did start feeling like, I can draw this easily, and felt like I wanted a bit more of a challenge, so I started doing backgrounds and like more complicated
Mm,
compositions, which I really love. It's just so fun to do super
yeah,
complicated compositions. But I just wanted to start getting better at the technical side of things, I think. It was more
yeah,
like, oh, should I change my medium because I feel like I've done color pencil. But now doing these books, I don't feel like I've done color pencil because I guess I just sort of done it with those specific kinds of animals. Do you know what I
yeah.
mean?
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's interesting. Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely found when I started doing wildlife art, that gave me a lot more confidence to do because I was trying complicated backgrounds with those. So
hmm
then I was able to offer that as an option to my portrait clients as well.
hmm
And quite a few of them quite like that option because, they might think of their pet in a particular setting, like they might love the beach or the
Yes.
garden or,
Mm.
so it adds so much when they are able to have a portrait of them in that sort of setting.
Yeah, no, that's really special, isn't it? Because you're capturing something that they can't necessarily do by
Yeah,
camera, and that's what
yeah,
really makes it special from an artist, isn't it?
yeah.
So what's been your favorite piece so far?
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness, I've no idea.
I
There's
like.
been so many.
Okay, what's your hardest then? What's one that springs to mind as like the most hardest one you've done?
Uh, so that was actually the one that I had exhibited as 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 the Wildlife Art of the Year
hmm
um, exhibition this year. So it was an elephant piece called The Elephant Charge,
Uh-huh.
and it was this big bull elephant charging towards the camera out of these clouds of dust. And
Oh wow.
yeah, it was all super detailed, and yeah, I just went all out on the realism. Took me so long to do, but yeah, I was pretty proud of it by the end.
Oh, good. How long do you think it took you to do?
Uh, it sort of I worked on it over a number of weeks,
hmm
and sometimes I just kind of had to leave it alone for a
hmm
bit because I was getting like it was quite a frustrating piece because
hmm
it was just so hard. I don't know. Have you drawn elephants before?
I have
They're,
drawn a little bit, yeah, for the cover of the African wildlife one, but yeah, it was very difficult.
yeah, just the texture to
Mm,
you kind of it's so easy to get lost with it.
yes,
Um,
I felt like I was going blind.
yeah, and then it took me a while to figure out how to do the clouds of dust how I wanted.
hmm
I actually ended up doing that with a paintbrush
Oh,
with
really?
pan pastels. Yeah,
Okay, so like swooshing it on kind of thing.
yeah. But that was quite scary because I'd already done a load of the detail underneath it because I had to kind of draw the detail of the elephant and then do the dust over the
And then it
top
just
so that you get
hope you
that.
don't ruin it.
Yeah, exactly. So that was kind of the last thing I did. And
Yeah.
yeah, I was going to film it and then I couldn't bring myself to because I thought if I mess it up, I
Yeah.
think I might cry.
Oh no.
But now I wish I filmed it because it actually went okay in the end.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
You're very gutsy, experimenting with these crazy techniques over your very complicated artwork.
Just
I
have to
like
hope that
it.
it pays off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
So
Have
what's
you
something that you want to do that you haven't done yet? What kind of drawing?
um oh, I saw an artist on Instagram recently who does like these water reflection drawings. So
Oh, okay.
I think her name is Michelle Lucking. I think that's her
hmm
name. and she she does she takes all her own reference photos,
Hmm.
and they're all of, well, not all of them, but most of them are of women in swimming pools with all the
Okay.
light reflecting all across them, and
Hmm.
then the
Is
water all
that the
around
oil
them.
painter?
No, she's pastels.
Oh, okay. There's an oil painter that just reminds me of what you're saying, and she paints and takes her own pictures of women in the water. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
carry
and
on.
then
Sorry.
and then she does these incredibly realistic, immersive, colourful um, pieces of art showing all these water reflections and
Oh,
everything. And yeah,
wow.
so absolutely fell in love
Yeah.
with them.
You're gonna try and take your own pictures as well then?
So, well, I spend a lot of time in the sea,
Hmm.
and like surfing and that, and seeing her. I mean, I think her pictures are probably taken in swimming pools, but it kind of made me want to do something similar.
Hmm.
Um, Sort of taking like underwater pictures and then maybe trying to do artworks showing all the light, the light filtering through the water and stuff.
Hmm.
But yeah, yeah, again, it's finding the time to do all these things that you want to do.
Yeah.
Because yeah, it's easy to like ping off in lots of different directions and
Oh
kind of
yeah.
lose your thread, isn't it?
Always. I've got multiple projects that are started and not finished.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's so hard because then you just get too excited about the next thing, I think.
I know, that's the thing. And I'm also trying
Yeah.
to learn watercolors at the moment.
Are you? How's that going?
I find it quite hard. I've been trying to do just little. I've got a little watercolor sketchbook, and I've been trying to do little kind of floral paintings using
Hmm.
watercolors.
Hmm.
Because I think like wildflowers and stuff make quite good subjects for just doing very quick little studies, you know.
Yeah.
And it's quite good for kind of learning the basics.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
wonderful. Yeah.
But it's
I
quite
find
different
it.
from pastels because I've got to try and um, give over to my uh, so I always have a tendency to want to control everything too much in terms of,
Hmm.
make everything super detailed and realistic and everything. But
Yeah,
with
yeah.
with watercolor, obviously the paint kind of has a bit of a mind of its own.
It does. Like, how on earth do you know what color to mix? This is what I want to know because you mix a color and then it dries a different color. So how do you know what
Yeah,
color it is you've mixed?
yeah, and not just that, but you wet the paper and then the paint kind of splooges out in all directions,
Yeah.
and it's knowing how wet you need the paper, and sometimes if it dries too quick and you haven't done everything that you want to do, then you've got to try and wet it
Yeah.
again, or yeah, I don't know, it's a
Watercolor's
learning
just
process.
watercolor's magic, I think. It's
Yeah,
just you have to be magic to be able to do it really well.
yeah, that's the thing. It's one of those mediums where when you see it done really well,
Mm.
some of the best paintings I think look really simple, but then when you
Mm.
actually try and do it, you realize like how much skill and time has gone into mastering that medium.
Mm. Yeah. No.
Yeah,
It's crazy. Yeah.
I'm a long way
I'm
off.
yeah, I'm not there with watercolor. I tried it once and I was like, no, definitely not. I can't do this. It's too crazy. It's just
Yeah,
going off and doing whatever it wants and I don't like
yeah,
that.
yeah. It's hard, definitely.
Yeah. No, I'd like to get more into oil painting again, I think, but I'm struggling with color mixing, so I'm trying to do that actually with color pencil now and
Oh yeah.
learning way more about mixing colors and color theory to
Hmm.
really understand that because I'm self-taught. I never really like went out and learned it. I just learned how to like pick colors from a picture rather than understand colors and why certain tones go together and why you have like, cool shadows and warm shadows and things like that. And so that's
Yeah.
sort of what I'm learning at the moment. How about you?
I
Were you self-taught as well?
Yeah, I am completely self-taught,
Hmm.
and I had a similar struggle when I was trying to get back into oil painting as an adult because
Mm.
my I kind of forgotten all my color mixing theory really.
Mm.
I didn't really do art in school other than just GCSE.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I was reading a book actually that broke it down really well, and it was they basically got you to just have a limited palette.
Yeah.
Um, which consisted of the three primary colours, but having a cool and a warm version of each,
Uh-huh.
um, and then white, and basically just mixing all your colours from that.
Mm-hmm.
And that massively helped me avoid ending up with mud.
Yes.
um, yeah, and this book was sort of saying, just spend some time like just mixing, like have an afternoon just mixing all the different colors. So
Yeah.
mix your different oranges, mix your different greens, mix your different purples, because those are kind of your secondary colors.
Yeah.
And get the hang of that. Try mixing blacks out of those colors as well. So
Mm-hmm.
I think I was using alizarin crimson and ultramarine blue,
Mm-hmm.
and mixing those two together actually gives you quite a nice black.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, so I started doing all my seascapes using that kind of method and that palette, and
Oh,
yeah, it worked
nice.
really well. Yeah,
Mm, very good. Yeah,
yeah,
that sounds really good. I'd like to get back into that and learn that a bit more.
yeah. It's quite satisfying when you just have an afternoon just making lots of pretty
Mm.
colours on a page. You can get those like paper palettes, foil paints.
Yes,
So you
okay.
can just get one of those, and then you're not wasting, expensive canvases or anything.
Hmm.
You can just have fun playing around on that and making all these different
And
colours.
then you can chuck it away after
Yeah,
if it's
exactly.
paper. Yeah. You don't
Yeah,
have to wash up.
yeah,
Great.
yeah, yeah.
So what are your favorite tools would you say you're a pastel artist then, I guess?
Um, yeah. I mean, it's definitely my go-to. It's the one I feel most comfortable with.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't really like to pigeonhole myself too much,
Yeah.
because you kind of, I think all artists evolve over time, don't they?
Hmm.
As you learn and progress and stuff.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think I would just say I'm an artist.
Yeah.
I'm an
So for
artist that likes
yeah,
pastels.
yeah. Right now you do anyway.
Yeah.
So what would you say your go-to like tools and materials are for pastels then?
Um, so for pastels, I use a whole mixture of sticks, pan pastels, and pencils. So these are, and you can see there's some kind of different brands here as well.
Hmm.
Um, but one of the things that I really love are these soft tools.
Oh yeah, I like those too.
Yeah, so I use these a lot with, just pastel sticks and pencils as well as pan pastels.
Hmm.
So they're just so good for blending.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, they are.
that's one of my favorite tools, definitely.
Yeah, brilliant. Do you have these ones as well? These blue ones with the points.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't use those so much.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I like the mini applicators. I just find them a little bit more easy to control.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, and the sponges as well. I use them a lot for backgrounds.
Yes, I guess if you have to cover quite a big space, they're
Mm.
good for that, aren't they?
Yeah, and especially if you want to get a really nice diffuse background as well,
Hmm.
they're great for that. Have
Okay.
you used the colorless blender with pan pastels?
Um, no, I haven't.
That's quite. I only discovered that quite recently, but it's like this colorless medium that you mix with pan pastels,
Right.
and it kind of makes the pigment go a lot further, so you can get really nice smooth gradients when you're blending.
Oh, that sounds good. What brand is
Yeah,
that?
oh, it's made by Pan Pastel.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Oh, I'll have a look then.
yeah.
That sounds really, really good.
How do you use pan pastels with color pencils then?
I
What's your
normally use them as a
process?
base.
Hmm.
So I like to block in my colors and then do them as a base. Right now, I don't really know what I'm doing right now. I'm just mixing loads of colors. I'm just trying out some like color theory techniques. So don't worry if this just goes horribly wrong. But normally, normally I would use like pick the actual colors and put them down like to block it in quickly and then use like my Caran dashes over the top, and
Hmm.
then do all my details with the Faber-Castells, like
Yeah.
all the hairs and the little highlights and all that kind of stuff over the top of that. And that's sort of how I
Okay.
do my commissions. So it's like really formulaic, I suppose. It's like
Yeah.
a guaranteed success formula that
Well, you kind of
for me
need those
anyway.
commissions, don't you?
Yeah,
You kind
exactly.
of,
Because I don't
yeah.
want to do it again.
Yeah, exactly. And the client kind of needs something that, well,
Yes.
they want to know that what they've seen you produce other times is what they're going to get.
Exactly. They need
Yeah.
it to be produced perfectly to what the specifications
Yeah.
agreed,
Yeah.
and also yeah, and obviously, within a certain time frame. So I
Hmm.
stick to that sort of way of doing it, specifically for my commissions. But in this book, I just sort of do whatever because I'm just trying out different things, like how can I make colors look deeper? How can I get quicker? Um, is using different papers a way to get quicker, or is using different techniques to get quicker? So I'm sort of just trying everything out, really.
Yeah.
And it's been quite fun to do that because I do like experimenting.
Well, it's a good way to keep it fun and fresh, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's no pressure because it's just in this book, and like, not everyone's gonna see it. There are some in this book that nobody's seen, so
Yeah.
um, and it's just about just not being scared of trying something new, or like if you really think it's not going to work, just try it anyway and see what happens. Because I do often think the more you experiment, the surprising it you'll find, when something works and you're like, oh, well, I didn't know that before. Like,
Yeah. 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 Definitely.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
so,
I yeah, I recently started a series that's slightly different style to my usual wildlife art.
hmm
And that's using the ink tents as a painted background and
okay,
then doing detail pastel on top. But
okay,
it's
yeah,
quite a kind of abstracty, colourful background rather than previously I've been drawing animals in their kind of natural habitat.
yeah,
Whereas this is kind of much more contemporary, quite
okay.
fun. Yeah, and yeah, that was all just a bit of an experiment, really, but it worked really well. So um, quite like to do a few more of those, really.
Mm, yeah, yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just so fun to experiment. I think when you, especially if it's your job, like I've been a commission artist like as my job for 8 years now, and I think it's
Mhm.
very easy to sort of get sucked into the day to day of commission after commission, and you
Mhm.
forget why you loved art in the first place, I suppose. Because it's not
Mhm.
that I didn't love doing commissions, it's more that I forgot about the experimenting side because you've got to get it perfectly every time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I forgot about, trying out different materials because I just didn't have the chance to. And I
Yeah.
think it's so important, even if you feel like you're a very established artist, to just keep trying new things and to keep practicing because you just never know like how you could get better, I suppose,
Yeah.
and what would make you get better just by trying like a different surface with the same
Yeah.
medium.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's crazy how paper type plays such a huge role in how your drawing's going to come out.
So the first time I actually tried pastels, I completely hated them
Mm-hmm.
because I had completely the wrong surface. I didn't
Yeah,
really know anything about pastels,
yeah, yeah.
and I didn't realize that you needed a surface designed to hold the pastel pigment.
Mm-hmm.
So I literally just tried to draw this pony on standard inkjet printer paper.
Right, yeah. So that sounds like it wouldn't work at all.
Nope, and it didn't. And all the colours just got completely smushed together.
Mm,
Most of the pastel fell off the page. Couldn't get any layers or detail in at
mm,
all. Um,
mm,
and I was like, I don't understand how people work with this. This is horrible.
mm.
And then
But yeah, it's literally because of the paper.
yeah, and I kind of thought, oh, I must be missing something because I had seen lots of stuff on Instagram and that of really good pastel artists. And I thought, well, they managed to do it somehow. So what are they using?
Hmm
And yeah, anyway, did a bit of digging and research and discovered all about different pastel papers and stuff. So then
hmm
set about trying a few of them out.
hmm
And yeah, suddenly I loved pastels
Yeah.
once I got the right stuff.
Well, that is the great thing about social media, isn't it? You can just find artists that are doing what that you want to do, and then just see what they're using, and then try it out.
Mm,
It
yeah,
just
it's
makes
YouTube is great uh,
Yes,
tool for learning stuff as well, isn't it?
definitely. Yeah. You literally just type it in. How do you draw this in color pencil or in pastel? And there's usually a video about it. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
What was your journey into using colour pencils?
Um, yeah, so I actually used quite a lot of Kirsty Partridge's tutorials when at the very beginning, before I even started doing commissions, on
Hmm.
YouTube. And because I didn't know what pencils to buy, I didn't know what paper to buy. Like you said, I was just using printer paper as well. I didn't
Yeah.
realize that actually printer paper is pretty rubbish for
Yeah.
trying to layer color paper, color pencils.
Yeah.
So I just wondered why, it was so hard and it kept burnishing and I just wasn't able to get the effect that I wanted. So yeah, I did a lot of research. There was another artist on Instagram. I think her name is Jessica Lennox. I followed her quite a lot to see what paper type and what she used, and that's when I just first started like branching out and actually buying proper brands. Because before that, I was just using like W.H. Smith's pencils
Yeah.
on some printer paper, wondering why it doesn't look good.
Yeah. It does make
Um,
such a difference, doesn't
it
it?
really does because actually, if you've got the right tools, I know tools aren't everything, but I feel like it's 50-50. You've 50% got to have at least the right tools to help
Hmm.
you, and then 50% is your practice and your dedication to honing the skills needed to make it look good.
Yeah.
Um,
I I recently I signed up to the SAA, um, and I think with my membership I got like a free watercolor
oh,
set.
nice.
But it was like a kind of amateur watercolor set.
Oh,
So I thought, oh, that's cool. I'll give it a go.
mm,
Because I'd be wanting to try them anyway.
mm-hmm,
Um, and I was just finding it really hard work, and the color I was having to work so hard to get any strength of color
mm,
in
mm,
out of the paints, and I was getting a bit frustrated again. And so I'd looked at a few reviews, and someone had it was an art teacher actually that had done a little review where some of her students they'd done like a field trip, and half of them had used professional watercolors. This was made by the same brand, but just how they have like professional sets and
yeah,
like student sets, I suppose.
mm-hmm,
And half of them had used the professional set, half had used the student set, and she was comparing the results. And yeah, anyway, long story short, she was like, "Yeah, it's worth getting the proper stuff. It'll
mm,
make your life so
mm,
much easier." She
mm,
was so I did, and yeah, I've used them a few times since, and yeah, you can get so much more vibrant colours with the
mm-hmm,
proper set. I think they
mm.
just water down the pigments on the
I guess to make it
kind of amateur
cheaper.
sets. Yeah, exactly. But then it makes your life so much harder, and then you get frustrated and
Mm.
then don't like the medium.
That's the
So
thing. It's such a fine line between like, you've never tried a medium before. Should you
mm,
splash out and get the best or the second best, branded thing, or
yeah,
should you try it on a rubbisher version? Because it makes such a difference, doesn't it?
yeah, it does. Yeah,
So I think it's
I mean,
it's so hard to
art materials are
know.
expensive. Art materials are expensive as well, aren't they? So
Mm,
it's quite a tricky balance sometimes. But
yeah. No, that's why I'm always shocked when things like I've heard Prismacolor is really good for like blending and color vibrancy and things, and they're actually quite cheap compared to like Caran d'Ache pencils.
hmm
So it's nice when a cheaper brand is like not just as good, but like as good to like really try and hone those skills with, because I do still think that Caran d'Ache are way more pigmented and
hmm
blendable. They're just I guess it's just slightly better. Like I guess when I compare like a Pablo and a polychromo, I do feel like the Pablo is a little bit creamier than the polychromo, and you can sort of tell that it is slightly more expensive.
yeah,
Um, but they both do the same job. So I think
yeah.
when you reach a certain point, it's nice that the price variations don't like dramatically change the way the medium works.
I
It's just the
think
really
some,
cheap stuff, isn't it? That's just really naff.
yeah. I mean, I think sometimes with like the brands, like I mean, I'm using the Caran d'Ache now, but most of my pastel pencils are Faber-Castell or Stabilo Carbothello, but I find these are really
Mm.
good for, like you said, where you want really nice blending or like a bit of a softer feel to something.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
sometimes you might just buy like a few of the really expensive ones for
Mm.
specific things, but then combine them with slightly more affordable ones as well.
Mm, definitely. Yeah, because I think everything has its place, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
What do you listen to or watch while you normally draw?
I don't watch anything, so I get too distracted.
Mhm.
But I tend to listen to a lot of podcasts or
Oh
audiobooks.
yeah. Like
Um,
what?
all kinds really. I find BBC Radio 4 do quite a lot of good stories,
Mhm.
um, like podcasts and that. And then yeah, music wise, it sort of depends what mood I'm in. If I want something a bit energetic,
Mhm.
then I quite like a lot of rock music, or
Mhm.
if I want something more chilled, then I have like a chilled playlist in Spotify. Usually in the summertime, I'm listening to quite chilled out music.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
recently discovered a singer-songwriter called Jack Bott. He's like an Australian guy.
Okay.
Um, he was playing at a music festival down here in Cornwall, and yeah, it's just really nice music that instantly makes you feel like you're at the beach.
Oh, that's nice.
So yeah, that's always
Yeah.
nice. What about
Oh,
you?
that's good. I personally like to watch stuff. I tried listening to podcasts and because I normally like business podcasts and art podcasts, but I get too inspired and too excited and then I have to go off and do something else.
Mm,
So I've had to stop listening to those and just sort of like have zone out programs on, I suppose, that I've seen like 1,000 times before, but it doesn't matter because it's mostly just background noise, so
yeah.
I can do the drawing.
Yeah, it's funny with um audiobooks, I tend to if I have a day that I know is going to be a little bit challenging,
Hmm.
then I'll start off that day by making sure I find a good audiobook
Hmm.
because I find that if I'm really listening to the story, it sort of helps me really focus
Hmm.
and and then the time just kind of zooms by and I'll have just been drawing the whole time rather than getting distracted.
Hmm.
Because I have a tendency to get distracted if something's quite challenging.
Hmm. Yeah, it's hard to like
Okay.
sit yourself down and do it if you already feel quite I guess feel like it's going to be hard.
Yeah, I've always had one of those brains where I need some kind of sound happening for
Hmm.
me to be able to concentrate.
Hmm.
Otherwise, my brain just wanders.
Hmm.
When I was a
Yeah,
teenager
same.
and I was revising for like exams and that, and I would have music playing really loudly.
Oh, you one of those people.
And my parents couldn't understand it. They're like, "How on earth do you concentrate with all that going on?" And I'm like, "Well, I can't concentrate without it." So,
So I tried to do that in school, but I can't read and listen to music.
you know,
No, I can't. And my brain just doesn't work that way.
yeah, it's funny how yeah, everyone's brains are different, isn't
Mm.
it?
Yeah, because I tried listening to music because I remember my friend doing it, and I was just like, I just can't. I need complete silence. Like, be quiet. Don't even breathe.
Yeah. If I'm writing, then I need quiet. Like
Mm.
if there's anything with talking going on, I can't write stuff.
Yeah.
So if I'm doing like a marketing day where I'm trying to add content to my website or write stuff for my social media, then I
Hmm.
I won't have anything playing.
Hmm. Yeah, no, it's quite difficult to write and listen to something else as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
So tell me more about the business side of things. Like, do you do like you said, block marketing and block out days where you do specific tasks, or how do you, I guess, organize yourself?
Yeah, I'm pretty organized actually. I have an Outlook calendar,
Hmm.
and I basically block everything into there. So all my commissions I block in on the calendar.
Hmm.
So I know that on these days I'm working on this particular portrait. Um, and I usually have Mondays as my marketing days or like admin days.
Hmm.
Because I quite like to just get that done at the start of the week and then I can focus on drawing the rest of the week.
Hmm.
Um, And yeah, and then I try and sort of also do what I call business development days every month, which is where
Okay.
I'm kind of working on my
Hmm.
business. Um, so that might be um, when I was starting out the wildlife side of things, and I wanted to do prints as well. It was kind of doing all the research into, well, how am I going to do that?
Hmm.
Am I going to produce them in house? Am I going to use a third party printing facility? Like, what's
Hmm.
that? What is that whole side of the business going to look like?
Hmm.
So yeah, I think it's quite important to have those days where you're working on your business. Otherwise, you just get stuck in the same rut, don't you? And you
Yes,
don't really get to progress things.
exactly. Yeah, I heard a thing of you have to work 20% in your business and 80% on your business, and that's the only
Yeah,
way to actually grow.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
which is very hard because I always get stuck into the details of in my business, like sending that email or replying to
Hmm.
that comment, and because I feel like these are all things that need to be done as
Hmm.
well.
Um,
But then I'm just constantly doing admin.
do you um do you produce do you like reproduce your art, or is it just original art that you do?
At the moment, it's just original commissions that I'm doing because I'm also building my membership website. So a
Yeah,
lot of my spare time at the moment is going into editing videos and tutorials and things like that.
yeah,
But I used to do prints of original artwork and then like merch. I think I went through a time of doing mugs and tea towels and things like that. And then I just stopped doing it but it was the time before Printful. Like Printful makes things a lot easier to do these stuff for
oh yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah,
And it was the time where you had to buy it all in house and have stock of things, and you can't just do print on demand. So it's a lot easier to actually do merchandise now, I think. So I might take it up again at some point, but I'm
yeah,
okay just doing commissions at the moment. Yeah.
yeah. I'm looking into because I do prints,
Hmm.
but I print them myself on demand. So I've got a proper G-Clay printer in my
Hmm.
studio at home,
That's
um,
fantastic. Yeah.
which is great because then, like you said, you don't have that massive load of stock kicking around, and you can
Yeah.
make things more affordable as well
Yeah.
because you're not having to fork out huge print runs and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
Yeah. Because I used
yeah,
to just buy one-off prints, and even that isn't very sustainable in terms of cash flow.
yeah, yeah. I'm trying to look into having a few trade stalls
Oh,
at the moment
nice.
in the
What?
build up to Christmas.
Whereabouts?
Just locally in Cornwall, really,
Hmm.
like Christmas markets and that. 'Cause, yeah, it'd be quite nice to get out and meet a few more people and get my art in front of a new audience.
Yes, that'd be nice, especially locally, because I think people forget that there's I guess it's called competition. There's less competition locally than there would be on the internet. So
Mm.
it's good if you are having trouble to get commissions or selling original artwork, just go back to basics and start locally. Go to local art fairs and put your business cards in local shops and things like that, and just sort of go back to basics a bit with it.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. Yeah.
yeah. So
Well, a lot of
I
my seascapes as well, because I do prints of those and they're of local Cornish beaches and that. So
so people
um,
would really like that.
yeah, so it's good for the audience down here.
Definitely. Did you try and sell any this summer? I'm sure it was very busy in the summer, no?
I was actually away a lot this summer.
Oh, okay.
I was on a tool ship for a little
Oh,
while,
nice.
sailing across the Baltic
That's
Sea.
amazing.
Yeah, so that was fun. And then yeah, and then I was in Finland after that, and then went to Portugal for a bit. So I was kind of pinging around all over the place.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so art was I was kind of had a few commissions that I was working on, but wasn't really doing any shows or anything like that.
Yeah. I guess next year you could try doing like a stall during peak summer and seeing if you can get lots of tourists buying your
Yeah,
seascapes.
yeah, we definitely get a lot down here in the summer, so yeah, it's
Yeah,
a good
you do.
idea.
Yeah,
Yeah,
might be a good time for it.
yeah, yep.
Wonderful.
I,
Gosh, it's nearly time, isn't it? I can't believe it's nearly been an hour.
I know, it's gone really quick.
How's your dog nose going? You're just doing the little
Really good.
reflections now.
Just putting the final shine onto it. I love drawing dog noses.
Do you? Are they your favourite ones to draw then?
I think eyes and noses are my favourite.
Hmm. Why in particular the noses?
Um, I don't know, I just find them quite cute.
Hmm. Do you
And
have
they've
any
got so much
pets?
texture. I do, yeah, I've got a Labrador, so
Oh, lovely.
his nose looks very similar to this. So yeah,
Yeah,
it
they
made me
have
smile
lovely
when I saw
noses.
it.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, his name's Charlie.
Oh,
He's been learning to swim,
ooh.
literally been having swimming lessons because he's a Labrador and he's 9 years old now, but he's got hip dysplasia
Hmm.
and so he didn't realize it, but because of that, he has always shied away from swimming because he wasn't really using his back legs when he was trying to swim.
Ah.
So he was just sinking. And to help with his dysplasia, we started doing hydrotherapy with him, and they've taught him to use his back legs a lot more. And now he's absolutely loving swimming and wants to swim
Oh,
everywhere he goes.
that's so sweet.
Yeah. So it's funny how at the age of 9.5, he's finally found his love for swimming.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's really cute.
that is really cute. So he can come and surfing with you and stuff then.
He's not too keen on waves, so we kind of,
Okay.
yeah, we pick calm days for him.
Yeah.
Or rivers and stuff. Yeah.
Oh.
Have you got any pets?
No, not at the moment. But I might get a cat one day, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a child. That's enough for me for now.
Oh goodness, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it must take up a lot of your time.
Yeah, I don't need any pets right now. Maybe
Yeah.
later. I don't even have any room. My art equipment and my child take up most of the room.
Yeah, yeah. How old's your child?
She's gonna be 3
Oh,
soon. It's
oh,
crazy.
cute.
It's going so quickly.
Yeah.
Time literally flies,
Yeah.
especially when you're having fun and doing a lot of work.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do most of my work at night time
Oh,
when she's
really?
asleep.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So I used to be like a morning person, like I can only work in the morning, and now I have to be a nighttime app person,
Yeah.
because it's the only chance I get really.
Yeah.
And but I quite like it because it's quiet at night and I know that she's asleep and happy, so she doesn't need me, and that sort of like mental thing of being a mum is like, I guess, off because I know
Yeah.
she's asleep and unconscious and happy, so
Yeah.
I can just
Yeah.
concentrate on what I'm doing.
Yeah, that
Um,
makes sense.
yeah, and then I can just like escape into my work and put on a program, and I find it very, very therapeutic after a long day.
Yeah. Quite a nice, relaxing way to end the day, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. I'll do one of these. Well, mine hasn't turned out that bad. I think this paper didn't have as many layers as I needed. I should have tried to do it on pastel mat, but
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah,
But I
I think I'm
think
just
it's
about done this then.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yours looks fantastic. I love it so much.
I actually did this on a bit of pastel mat board, so
Hmm.
it's raised up a little bit. Yeah, I quite like the board. It's good. It gives sort of a nice stiffness to the surface.
Oh yeah, I haven't tried board. I've only tried paper.
Hmm. It's the same thing, but I think they just mount it on a rigid board behind. But I
Hmm.
use it for like my bigger pieces.
Yeah. Do you
Makes
feel like when you're drawing on top, then it's a lot stiffer than, I guess, less give, would you say?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, and I think it makes it a bit easier to then frame the bigger pieces as well.
Yeah,
You don't get
definitely.
any warping that you sometimes get with the paper.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. It's been so lovely
Yeah.
to chat to you, Naomi. Thank you so
Yeah,
much for
thanks for
joining me.
thanks for having me on. It's been great.
Yeah, it's been so good. And thank you everybody else for joining us today. If you haven't already, please give Naomi a follow. And if you'd like your own practice journal, you can go to learnmycraft.com or Amazon, and you can watch this episode back again at learnmycraft.com. And we'll see you next time. Thank you so much, Naomi. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much. Cheers.
Bye bye.
Bye.